Controversial California bill to turn lost or otherwise known as burned down Pacific Palisades homes into affordable housing put on pause after 2,300 locals push back, calling it a land grab. Is it affordable housing? Is it a land grab? What's the dealio here? Let's get into it. Here we go. So I'm just going to run through just the look at the titles of these articles that we're going to take a peek at today. We got that one, that locals calling it a land grab, government buying up lots, building affordable housing. What about LA Times? Conspiracy theories thwart rebuilding plan after LA County wildfires. How about locals who don't want low-income housing built in their super upper-end Pacific Palisades neighborhood? What about that? We don't worry about that. We just build whatever we want. We're the government. We're just going to come in and do whatever. We all need affordable housing. How about this one? California Senate passes bill that will allow LA to buy fire-ravaged lots to build low-income housing. Separate from the legalization legislation, Governor Gavin Newsom, as the state has also allocated $101 million in taxpayer funds to expedite multifamily low-income housing development to help those displaced by the fires. Whatever it is, whatever is going on here, the optics are horrific. The optics, and that's what I always talk about, is the optics. How does this look? How does this look for state of California with gruesome Newsom in charge? Just, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. How about you just rebuild the Pacific Palisades? How about instead of focusing on what ICE is doing with the criminal illegals, how about you not worry about, how about you to put full tilt ahead on rebuilding the Palisades, getting those permits going, getting that construction going, instead of talking about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. How about Grant Cardone, real estate guy, slams California's plan to buy fire-ravaged Palisades for low-income housing, says it's not just a conspiracy. I place a lot of weight in what Grant Cardone says. I do. He seems reasonable. I have no reason to believe he's not. A lot of times he'll come on and he'll just point out the absolute obvious and he'll go, it's this way. And you're like, that makes sense. All right. That makes sense to me. So from that standpoint, I don't know a ton about Grant, because I'm kind of out of the whole real estate. You got to buy real estate, build wealth, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's for some folks. I'm kind of on the other end. I've had a real estate brokerage. I've had an appraisal company. Have both. And I'm just not that interested in it anymore. But for those of you who are, Grant Cardone, he's got an opinion that definitely matters. All right, let's read this one first. When devastating wildfires swept through California earlier this year, many buildings were destroyed beyond repair. In fact, the Eaton and Palisades fires alone destroyed 40,000 acres of property, and 6,800 buildings were damaged in the Palisade fires. So we got I think 16,000 buildings total in a combination of these fires, 12,000 homes destroyed. And from the optics standpoint, Gavin Newsom, gruesome Newsom, podcaster Newsom, Brill Cream, as so many of you affectionately referred to him. Nothing to do with his hair, you know what I mean? He's trying to go down this, for low-income residents who had their places burned down, we're trying to make this a reality for them. And you're left with, but these are single-family lots. You're going to say they're rebuilding to multifamily, low-income family housing? It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. No matter, the optics are a tough sell, whether which thing you believe. Now, the rebuilding process is leading to some conflict. Specifically, many residents of Pacific Palisades, the 2,300, have recently expressed serious concern, Senate Bill 549, which would create resilient rebuilding authorities funded by the government through property tax collection. These concerns were recently raised at a Fox LA News report. The authorities would be given the power to purchase lots where homes had been destroyed by fire, single-family homes, and to build low-income housing on a significant percentage of those lots. 40%, I believe. 40%. That's what it does. However, residents of Pacific Palisades, where Realtor.com reports the median home listing price is $4.9 million, All right. That's the median. Sorry, not medium. Medium. No. Mean, medium, mode, right? That's all you need to know about statistics. If you can get through that, you're okay. Median, meaning half, you array the data, half of the homes are less than 4.9 million and half are more than 4.9 million. So that's skewed more towards the high side of things, right? So you got a home, say you got a $7 million home. Do you want to have multifamily housing next door to you? No, that's the outrage here, right? Pacific Palisades is a wildly expensive community. Wildly. When your median home price is 4.9 big ones, yeah, no amount of low-income shenanigans are going to be accepted. They're not happy with what they see as a land grab. Many have voiced opposition, and in response, Senate Bill 549 has been put on hold until at least 2026. Hey, we thought we could just slide this bad boy on through. That's not really working out, so therefore, we're just going to have to deal with whatever we got going on right now. How many decades is it going to take to rebuild the Palisades? How long is this going to? This is going to go on forever. Forever. What would the California Affordable Housing Bill do? Senate Bill 549 explains that existing law gives the government the ability to establish an infrastructure financing district to finance public capital facilities or other specified projects of community-wide significance. Kind of sounds like a land grab to me in the name of affordable housing. Yeah, it does. Whether that is true or not, whether in reality that would be what it is, hard to say, but that's what it sounds like, and that's what optics are all based on. Lawmakers now want to use the power to create Resilient Rebuilding Authority. We use some of the money to buy lots in the Palisades and build homes for people with incomes between 60 and 30% of the median income, as well as homes that would be occupied by people with incomes below 30% of the area median, and permanent supportive housing aimed at finding homes for the homeless. All right, so you're going to have homeless in the Pacific Palisades. Tough sell. Tough sell. No, you're not doing it. You're not doing it. Just hard no-go. But look, they tried. Gnewsom, podcaster Newsom, he tried. Governor Gavin Newsom also separately allocated $101 million in taxpayer money for the construction of more than low-income housing to accelerate the development of affordable multifamily rental housing so that those rebuilding their lives after this tragedy have access to a safe, affordable place to come home to. All right, let's talk about that for 1 second. Let's just talk about that. Then what I want to say is, so you got $101 million in taxpayer money. Okay, how far would that go building homes in the Palisades? $1 million a unit? 1.5 a unit? What's the land acquisition going to be? At least $1 million, right? These lots are going for $2 million with no view. So you got $2 million a lot. So you're talking, and that's just with the money here. Say they get another $400 million. They've got $500 million. And $2 million to construct whatever per unit. You got 250 units. How many people are displaced? How many people? Thousands. So, I get it, but the whole thing, is it worth the push to have the optics look this way? Hey, Newsom effed up again. He's doing shenanigans. Look at Newsom, shenanigans. Karen Bass, I deeply regret being in Ghana. You think? She came out and said that in an interview. Yeah, people made fun of me. They took it out on, they took it out on you because you were in Ghana. You're in Africa. What the F were you doing there? And then no water in the hydrants. These people, you can't make this stuff up. Conspiracy theories thwart rebuilding plan after LA County wildfires. This week, reality TV show Spencer Pratt posted multiple videos on social media savaging a proposed bill on wildfire rebuilding. In one, Pratt told his 2 million TikTok followers, do you guys watch TikTok much? I don't. My kid sends me TikTok videos all the day, and all day long, and I appreciate them. TikTok is so chaotic and just you go in a million different directions. I prefer Instagram. The girls are better. Oof. That he consulted an artificial intelligence engine about Senate Bill 549. He said it told him the legislation would allow LA County to buy burned out lots in Pacific Palisades, convert them to low-income housing, strip away local zoning decisions, and push dense reconstruction. He urged people to oppose it. Now, I've read the bill, and I don't think that is an inaccurate portrayal. It allows for that. So where's the misinformation? Where's the conspiracy theories? Where's the conspiracy theories? I didn't even think this is political, Pratt said. This is a common sense post. None of what Pratt said is in the bill, but over the last week, such misinformation-fueled furor has overwhelmed the conversation in LA, at the state capitol, and on social media about wildfire recovery. Posts have preyed on fears of neighborhood change. Well, when you're saying you're going to buy up these lots and 40% of it's going to be built in low-income housing, what do you expect there, numbnuts? Mistrust of government authorities and prejudice against low-income housing to assert, among other things, that the wildfires were set intentionally to raise the Palisades and replace the community with affordable housing. Now, no, I don't believe that is true. If you can send to me a causal effect of how that is reality, I'll take a look at it. But I don't believe that is true. But I know there's such a segment of society that says, this is what's going on. We know it to be true. And you've taken one event and you've thrown it at another event, and somehow you make that, 1 + 1 = 4. I got to have some more proof of that. But what I'm seeing here on this one is it just doesn't look good. It looks terrible. It looks awful. The chatter has unmoored debate over a major rebuilding proposal from LA County leaders. Under the plan, new local authority, we talked about that. Buy burned lots and build multifamily housing on 40% of them. Okay. Idea is to give property owners struggling to rebuild another option to stay in their communities. There's the spin. Hey, people that had homes, we're going to give them an option where they can build, they can borrow, and we're going to get them back in their homes. Maybe they can't afford the taxes. You're going to build them a brand new home. They can't afford those taxes. What are you going to do there? It sounds a lot to me like just governmental overreach and taking a piece of the Palisades that they want because they want control. There are no changes to any rules that require zoning amendments or approvals for individual housing developments. I bet. State Senator Benjamin Allen, author of 549, which creates local authority, said he understands legitimate policy disagreements over new powers granted in the bill. That's what people are freaked out about. It's become this total meme among the right-wing blogosphere, and unfortunately picked up by some lazy-ass journalists that don't bother to read the bill, that say this bill seeks to turn the entire Palisades into low-income housing. I don't believe it does that, but it would allow enough where it would measurably change the Palisades forever. And so, from that standpoint, let the Palisades rebuild to what the Palisades was. Now, you don't have to throw in this low-income housing. Just go put your low-income housing somewhere else in LA. I mean, you've got blocks and blocks and blocks of what should be raised construction. Go do that there. Don't pick the Palisades to do it. You know what I mean? If anything, it's just the optics make you look terrible as leaders in California. Some of his own friends who lost homes in the Palisades, Allen said, been texting him asking why he's trying to force low-income housing into the neighborhood. Well, that's a legitimate concern because that is part of what would happen. Maybe not to the extent of, how some of these folks are, posing this, throwing this out there. They're the posturing, I guess would be the word. So here we go. This is from Los Angeles Magazine. So this article goes on to talk about the infrastructure, 40% of the total funds, yada, yada. Incomes below 60%, greater than 30% of median income. 50% of the housing funds are used for affordable housing. I mean, there's a lot of affordable housing talk in here, right? And you're talking the Pacific Palisades. I mean, Who didn't think that there would be quite an uproar over this? Who thought, we're just going to slam this through? This is going to be perfect. It's going to be great. We're just going to have homeless living everywhere and a bunch of low-income housing. Palisades are rebuilt and they're great. Who thought that that was an actual reality? Somebody would just, yeah. Two separate ideas open the door for the development of multi-unit low-income housing on lots where single-family homes once stood in Altadena, Pacific Palisades, and other devastated areas. You know, I mean, they just do. Whether you want to say, it's a bunch of misinformation, or you want to say, this is what we need, this is what we owe to our constituents, it doesn't look good. It just simply doesn't look good. Separately, Gavin Newsom announced he's allocated $101 million to jumpstart the building. I mean, of more low-income housing as homeowners who lost everything. Why in the world, why in the actual F would you want to build low-income housing in the Palisades? Ask yourself that. Why would you buy a lot for, even if you get it discounted, say you get a lot in the Pacific Palisades for $500,000. It's a $2 million lot. What could you get a lot in a higher density area somewhere else and build and construct? What could you get a lot elsewhere for in LA? Way cheaper. With much greater density where you don't have to do all this Mickey Mouse stuff. So I do see this as a land grab of sorts, not to the extent where I think people are claiming that the entire Palisades is going to be rebuilt. I don't think you're seeing that. But it would change enough of the neighborhood where it's like, no, that shouldn't be happening. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. And whenever the government steps in with a low-income housing proposal, be wary. Just be wary, because it's loaded with shenanigans. It just is. That's how the government builds stuff. It's one shenanigan after another. You know what the perfect example of that is? It's the light rail train from San Francisco to LA that literally goes nowhere right now because it's $100 billion over budget. $100 billion over budget and years and years and years behind schedule. That's what happens when California progressive policymakers put their heads together and really try and get something together. How's that working out? Not that great. Not that great. So here's Newsom. Los Angeles is taking significant steps to rebuild after January's fires. I forgot he does this dance thing. But the devastation is significant and there remains a long road ahead. Thousands of families from, now I'm going to do a little Tim Waltz. Thousands of families from Pacific Palisades to Altadena to Malibu are still displaced, and we owe it to them to help. So you're going to come in and buy discounted lots and build multifamily housing. That's helping. It's kind of like Antifa saying that they're helping by protesting against ICE. Who are you helping? The criminal illegals? Okay. All right. Newsom said, adding that by funding the bill, the state can accelerate the development. State and accelerate. Two words that don't belong in the same sentence. Accelerate the development of affordable multifamily housing rentals so that those rebuilding their lives after this tragedy have access to a safe, affordable place to come home to. You know what? If you're low income and you lost your housing, you ain't waiting for that bad boy to be rebuilt. You're somewhere else. You're somewhere else, and you will be somewhere else when these units get constructed. So let's not try and make this let's feel good about everybody and just have a big circle jerk and we'll call it a day. Right? I mean, that's kind of what we're doing here, aren't we? I think it's great that the resident said, yeah, no. Let's look at Grant Cardone. He's so tan. Anyway, I shouldn't talk. I'm pretty tan as well, but I'm tan from being out in the garden. Been gardening a lot. Sunscreen out, forearm sunscreened. Yeah. I mean, when it's sunny in Seattle, I mean, by that, if it's 60 degrees and there's a sliver of sunshine out, I'm out there. Prominent real estate investor Grant Cardone, known for his unconventional life and interesting investing advice, recently took to social media with a provocative claim. You guys think California land grab was just a conspiracy? California passes bill to buy Palisades fire-ravaged homes. His tweet dated July 18th has reignited debate around a newly passed California bill, yada, yada. So the idea there is that the wildfires were started on purpose to basically reconstruct the Palisades with affordable housing, just make it, miserable. Because you know what happens when low-income housing gets built? It turns into a ghetto. Let's be brutally honest. I'm a real estate guy. You go into any low-income housing area and it's like, oh, got to dodge the bullet. Oh, good Lord, somebody's throwing something out a window. I don't know if you've been through a lot of low-income areas. They're rough. They're rough. I was appraising in the Hilltop area in Tacoma in the 80s, in the late 80s, and it was a you-know-what show. It was out of control. Shootings like there was no tomorrow. Hilltop in Tacoma has really cleaned up. Tacoma itself has really cleaned up. But back then, no. And anywhere you've got a big project, there's a couple of big projects in Seattle, they're rough. They're rough. They're not the Palisades. You know what I mean? Median home price, damn near $5 million. So, not a ton more on this article, but when Grant Cardone, when he says that, it's not just a conspiracy. You're kind of left with, yeah, okay. I'm glad the folks did what they did, which was 2,300 locals push back, as they should, because their community. Who says, could you imagine somebody coming into your community that's really nice? Not just nice, really nice. And you could say, hey, the wealthy have privilege. Well, they also have a right to have their community built to what it was before. What was it before? A really, really wealthy enclave of Los Angeles. That's what it is, right? That's what it is. Let's go ahead and just turn it into a ghetto. Let's just build some low-income housing and turn it into a ghetto. Call it a day. All right. I don't live there. Never lived there. I've never even been there, right? I want to go. So many places I want to go. Portland. Need to go back to Portland. Yeah. Crazy stuff going on. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You know the drill. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for joining. Bye for now.